Talk of Champions, short sessions.
Long story short.
Welcome in to a Talk of Champions Extra. I'm your host, Zach Berry. Joining me is former Ole Miss Rebel wide receiver, NFL wide receiver, Cody Core. He is here. Kind of perfect timing. We honestly didn't plan it like this, but it works out to where we meet. We talk about linking up, getting some time to talk on the podcast, and then it just so happens that it's Auburn week. So I appreciate you joining us on the show and giving us some time, man. How are you?
I appreciate you. I'm doing well.
First question, are you going to be at the game?
I am not making it to this game. My dad asked me the other day, and I knew he was a little sad that I wasn't coming. But I'm not going to make it.
Growing up in Auburn, Alabama, and going to a high school that is Auburn High School, and then not staying there to go to play college football, that not every town has that, situation. Like Oxford has it with Oxford High School, and then you can just stay right at home and go to Ole Miss. But, what was that like growing up in Auburn? And, did you, everybody says you got to pick one. You got to be Auburn or Alabama. But what was it like being right there by the college?
It was amazing growing up. I got to watch Tommy Tuberville, and I went to school with Tucker Tuberville for a little bit before he transferred. But as I got older and I started getting recruited, I started experiencing different environments, different colleges and different coaches. And, being from Auburn, it was home base, and, the coaches there, typically you send your kids to Auburn High School. So I played with, my quarterback was Cameron Looper.
Mm-hmm.
His dad is Curtis Looper, and Curtis is at Mizzou now. And then the receiver that I played with was Blaze Taylor, and his dad is Trooper Taylor, and he was a receivers coach. But they were always at the game, and it just felt like family. So it was all cool and whatnot. But when it started getting serious, I had to, I kind of had to put the friendship aside in a way and really evaluate everything. And I'm not the only one. You got Reuben Foster, who went to Alabama. You got Rashawn Evans, who went to Alabama. Before me, you have DeMarcus Ware going to Troy. And a couple other guys like D. Finley going to Florida. But that's still something that needs to be, fixed. I feel like Freeze will kind of get that situated to get the hometown guys going to Auburn.
You mentioned getting out, and once you started going through the recruiting process, you had some different experiences, you met some new people, and that probably helped you look outward and start looking at what else was around besides Auburn, and then you end up at Ole Miss. So I guess give us like a brief, quick synopsis of your recruitment and why you chose Ole Miss.
Oh, man. A lot of guys know this story. It's very personal, but I can say that when I started getting recruited big, I had coaches come to my basketball games, and I was like, a football coach coming to see me play basketball, like that's crazy. And that was like eye-opening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we had great players in the state. We had we played a team called Carver out of Montgomery. They had Craig Sword, who went to Mississippi State. They had another guy who went to Mississippi State. Jeremy Johnson, who was the point guard there, 6'6" point guard. Like, he was legit point. He should play basketball for Auburn. But obviously Jeremy Johnson went to Auburn, and but that game, there was a lot of coaches at that game. But for me, T. Martin, who was at Kentucky at the time came and watched me, and sat with my parents, and that was that changed recruiting for me. That was one of the moments that changed recruiting for me. Um, because prior to that, obviously I went to the schools, I saw the campus, I did the camps and all that. And growing up in Auburn, I always did the camps. But, getting recruited outside of Auburn, you can really see, why they're doing it and their purpose. I had tons of offers, and at the end of the day, Ole Miss came. Well, so I got recruited by Vandy, and the guy who was there, everybody knows Crime Dog, Coach
Mm-hmm.
Wesley Smith, who's at Auburn now. Well, he ended up getting hired at Ole Miss. He came to the Auburn Oak game on the sideline, and he had Ole Miss on. And I was like, wait a minute, you're not at Vandy anymore? He's like, nope. I want you to come play ball at Ole Miss. And then that next weekend, we set up a official visit. Not that next weekend, but we set up an official visit for January. And I had that locked in. And at the time, I was committed to Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was committed to Troy at the time because my dad went to Troy. And, it's real personal for me. So just a short background of that is a background of that was I got my first offer from Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Coach that coached my dad offered me. And it was special. It meant a lot. And my dad played there for 2 years. He didn't finish, but initially, I wanted to go there. I wanted to write my story, but I kind of wanted to finish his.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was committed to Troy. And they
Okay.
did a great recruiting and whatnot. Um, but it got bigger. I started making plays. I started getting noticed more. Because back then, the recruiting isn't how it was now. I started getting more offers. North Carolina, Kentucky, Colorado, Georgia Tech. I wanted to be in the SEC, and I was a two-star coming out, but I was the number one receiver out of Alabama. Now, you look at it now, if you're the number one in your position in anything, you're gonna be at least a four-star. Maybe three, but at least a four-star. I'm the number one receiver in the state of Alabama, and I'm a two-star. So I didn't care about the stars, but nowadays, what I'm saying, you gotta put some respect on it. You know what I mean? I had 3 official visits that I had to pick from at the time. I don't know if back then if it was you could take 5 or 3, but there was 3 weekends left, and I haven't used them yet. So obviously I was committed to Troy at the time. I went to my Troy one. I went to Kentucky, and then I had to choose between Ole Miss and North Carolina for my last official. And it was really hard for me because I like MJ. I know MJ went to North Carolina, so that was kind of that deal. But SEC, Ole Miss, I was like, I gotta go to Ole Miss. I gotta go to office. See what the hype is. A couple of my classmates were already at Ole Miss as well, so it was kind of like a second Auburn, so to say, because you
Mm-hmm.
didn't go to Ole Miss, other than Alabama, and it's still to this day Oxford is unique, and it has its culture. The community just builds around that culture or and adds to it. The campus itself, when you're on campus, it's just a different feeling from Auburn for me. Everything was just the people, they was just they just bought in on the culture and what they were trying to do and how they were trying to change it. And Freeze obviously was the head coach at the time. He just came in. Grant Hurd was the receivers coach. Grant Hurd played at Ole Miss, so that helped out a lot as well. You can see Ole Miss really buying into the former player and there were coaches like Matt Luke, obviously, you know what I mean. So he's an offensive.
Yeah.
So it was just eye opening. I got to see like the details in recruiting, and I committed after visiting Ole Miss.
So you didn't wait till signing day. You just committed basically on the spot.
I committed that Sunday.
Yeah, and that was a Freeze's first class. You had some key guys in there with you. You had Isaac Gross, Bo Wallace, Ben Still, Jalen Walton, Mike Hilton, Pierce Burton. It wasn't a very big class, but you guys had some dudes in there that played key roles for the next 2 or 3 years. So that was kind of that first class that got it rolling.
Trey Elston, Channing Ward, yeah.
Yeah, and you had like Robert Conyers, you had Quintavious Burdett, John Youngblood. Yeah, so that was, it was the year before, 2013 when,
yep.
You get all the big names in 2013, but you guys kind of paved the way for everybody in 2012. So, all right, so fast forward to now. I did want to get your perspective from this unique angle here. So you played at Ole Miss, obviously. You were in games where you were on both sides. Early on, Ole Miss, was building, that first year in 2012. You go to the BBVA Compass Bowl, you beat Pitt, you get all the hype going into 2013, and then you've got the big signing class that everybody knows about in 2013, and then you guys eventually beat Alabama twice. You get to the Sugar Bowl, and it culminates there. So you've been in games where you're the hunted, but you've also been in games where you're the underdog. Your back's against the wall at certain points. So I want to ask you about both sides here. So going into Saturday, Ole Miss, number 13 in the country, 5-1. Not a heavy favorite per the line. It's about 6.5. But Ole Miss is favored. Auburn's had their struggles this year. So what's kind of your mindset, and kind of how did you handle those games where going in you're the favorite and you're on the road?
Well, initially on the road, you gotta play. You gotta play against the crowd, and you gotta play against the noise. And in practice, you practice with that noise. That's what we did. And the speakers would literally be right there next to the left tackle or the right tackle, and we're snapping the ball. So as far as blocking out the noise, you kind of train for that. And obviously, once you start putting points up, the noise goes away. And that's one of the keys, is to do your job and take the crowd, the fans out of that factor, especially at night. And knowing, just knowing the background between Ole Miss and Auburn, there's going to be a lot of people at that game because all the coaches Tommy did it. Tommy went from Ole Miss to Auburn, and now Freeze is there, so it's like it's going to be a big fan base, just being there to enjoy the game. And as far as the players, we studied, we look for weaknesses, and and we attack those weaknesses. And at the end of the day, you prepare to you prepare the best you can to score, or defensively get that stop on third down. So after watching film over and over, guys typically do the same thing they put on film. I mean, that's what my coaches in the NFL tell me all the time. Like, guys don't change much. What they put on film is who they are. So as long as you study that film and get those plays in, and at the end of the day, the team that prepares the best will win. And Ole Miss's favorite.
Are you looking at cutting your health insurance premiums by as much as 20 to 30%? Are you aging into Medicare and need help finding a Medicare supplement plan? Call Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group at 601-953-8449. Drew is an Ole Miss grad located in Mississippi and licensed in 7 states. He works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers, and he can help you with any of your health insurance needs. From regular health plans to life insurance to dental and vision and even Medicare, he has it all covered. Now more than ever, it is critical to have a health insurance agent who is local and accessible. So call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449 and get your free quote today.
We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. Well, MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. Take advantage of weekly blackjack tournaments and a brand new collection of high-end games for a chance at real cash rewards. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in your hands. And the best part is you don't even need to wear pants. Your adventure at the MyBookie Casino begins today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code ToC for Talk of Champions, ToC. That's promo code ToC to secure yourself a sweet deposit bonus. And that's not all, because their revamped loyalty program ensures that you'll be showered with rewards, including free spins, cashback offers, and a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win. Play anytime, anywhere with the MyBookie Casino. And make sure to check out MyBookie for all your gaming needs at www.mybookie.ag. That's www.mybookie.ag.
So let's talk about the game.
Yeah, let's talk about the game. Let's do that.
Ole Miss, just a 6.5 point favorite. I think a lot of that has to do with being on the road, on the plains. Ole Miss historically doesn't win there. You were a part of the last win in 2015. Before that, it was 2003 when Eli Manning was the quarterback. And then before that, I don't know if you know, it was 1999
Wow.
when Romero Miller hits Corey Peterson in the end zone overtime. They get a big win there. So history is not on the side of Ole Miss. They just do not play well in Jordan-Hare for whatever reason. It's a tough place to play. You mentioned the crowd will be in it. They typically have good crowds, especially at night, regardless of how their team is performing. So how do you see this one shaking out on Saturday with Ole Miss coming off a bye and Auburn really having to get off the canvas and get a win?
Honestly, you have to expect some luck from Auburn. Auburn at night in games like this, when they need a win or scratching for a win, they may get lucky. And that's just the history of Auburn, with the kick six against Alabama and or like that catch versus Georgia with that receiver.
Was that Ricardo Lewis?
Lewis, yeah.
Did you let me ask you real quick while you bring it up? Did you learn about Auburn Jesus in school growing up, being in Auburn? Was that a thing, or did it just come about after all of those things happened?
Wait. Say that again.
Have you not heard about this? It's like a joke. Everybody says Auburn Jesus always. You mentioned the luck with the kick six.
No, I did not. No, I have not.
Yeah.
That has to be new.
Yeah, so they've had a string where that particular year, those two particular plays happened, that same season, which was crazy. But yeah, I mean, Auburn typically, maybe at times you create your own luck where you're at home and it can get weird in Jordan-Hare. But as far as like the game, what do you expect from each team in this one?
Yeah, so as I was getting there, for one, I expect Auburn to run a couple trick plays. It's just where they are now in this season. Going with switching up both quarterbacks. And offensively, just looking at Auburn, like they've only scored total of 2 touchdowns. Versus SEC opponents. obviously, you got field goals and whatnot. But as far as just scoring 6, they did 2 against LSU and 2 against one other team. Georgia, I want to say, right?
Yeah, that was tight.
But they're having a hard time getting into the end zone, and that's just the lack of consistency that they have. So offensively for them, they're going to be doing a lot of trick plays. Our defense is really, really great. This season is exciting for me. Just watching Pete, um, dial up these plays and putting these players in great position. Since we played back in, 15, 14, 15, it's like, okay, Pete is bringing this Landshark defense back, and they are solid and playing really, really sound. And for me, I don't think there's any worries there, as long as they keep their eyes on their assignment. Because Auburn will do some trick plays. Calling it now. And for us, offensively, the Auburn defense is, they got some experienced coaches over there on the defensive side. So they're gonna come out hard and try their best. But as long as we do what we need to do, we should be able to put up at least 35 against Auburn.
Yeah, I think it's probably if it was a prop bet that's out there, it's probably at least, I don't know, minus 400 that Hugh Freeze is going to run a wide receiver pass in this game.
Exactly.
Um,
Mhm. Our,
I-
our quarterback's out there and he tosses it to Robbie, and Robbie tosses it, or the opposite way around, or both quarterbacks will be on the field at the same time at one point. I believe it.
okay. Yeah, it's he doesn't have Laquan to do the wide receiver pass, but he'll find somebody to do it, I'm sure.
They're trying to do it.
Um, so
He has to keep the game interesting. I know it's his first year,
yeah,
but he has to keep it interesting, just like he did against Georgia. Um, at the end of the day, Georgia ended up beating them, but he's gonna keep it interesting. He's gonna make sure the crowd is in it for the long run. Because the second the crowd is out of it, that stadium's dead, and that's it.
it's interesting to me with all the, you know, attention that goes around, Lane Kiffin and the offense, and they've been really efficient so far this year. They've done it in different ways in different games, but interesting that you bring up Pete Golding, because I do sense some unrest with the defense at times, which is, in my opinion, kind of silly. I know the third down defense hasn't been great. They're down in the hundreds in that metric, but outside of that, the defensive scoring efficiency is top 5 in the league. They get stops when they need to. That's been
And
kind of their MO the last couple of weeks. Nobody's stopping LSU at this point. LSU's scoring on everybody, but they got the stops at the end in the fourth quarter when they needed it. And then same with Arkansas. So my take on this, I think Ole Miss has to start fast. Like you said, get the crowd out of it, get up a couple scores, and then just, like you said, Pete Golding and that defense just got to get stops and get Auburn off the field. I've always said, defense and the run game is what travels on the road. And I think Ole Miss has 2 running backs that can get it done. So that's kind of my thing, is just take care of the football, win that turnover battle on the road, and just run the football. And I think the defense will be fine, because like you said, Auburn's really struggled at the quarterback position.
really, really, really struggling.
You mentioned you think Ole Miss will probably get in the 30s. You got a final score prediction? You gonna go that far?
Final score prediction. Like I said, Auburn is having a hard time getting in the end zone. At most, right now, they could get in the end zone twice. Um, Factor in the field goals, late in the fourth. Um, I'm gonna do two scores. Let's do two scores. I'll do Ole Miss 42, Auburn 17, and then I'll also do Ole Miss 35, Auburn 10.
Okay. So big. So you're expecting a big win on Saturday for Ole Miss.
Offense,
Safe to say.
they're gonna do what they need to do, and get ahead. We learned it before the bye. We learned it with Arkansas. What we were up 20-6 at halftime. I want to say, or 17-6.
Yeah, it was tight, but yeah, I mean, I think
Had a pretty good lead at halftime. I know that.
so. Yeah, I think that's the key. Like I said, start fast and get the crowd out of it. And yeah, I don't know if they're there yet, but you've been in locker rooms before. I haven't. I
Mhm.
did not play college football, but I feel like it's at a certain point, especially year one, it starts to get there's some doubt that creeps in, and especially against a really good team, a top 15 team like Ole Miss, you can start to question the game plan, and I don't want to say quit, but some guys will probably start looking ahead to okay, what's next week. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we took out early, and they're gonna start looking at, okay, are we making it to a bowl game this year?
yeah. All right, last thing here, and again, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here. Um, what was your favorite stop in the NFL? You go to the Bengals, you're with the Giants, and you're with the Dolphins. What was your favorite stop, and kind of your if you want to give us like one of your favorite stories from your time in the NFL?
Favorite stops. That's tough. That's tough. You can't sing them out. You can't sing them out like that. But I can transition. So I can say going from, okay, well, Marvin Lewis with the Bengals, he's top tier. As
Mm-hmm.
far as what he brought to the table, and how he prepared guys, and as a rookie in second year, uh, I think it helped me, become a man. Just learning from him and his style. Um, but as far as organization, once I got to the Giants, obviously Eli Manning was up there when I went, and it felt like I was at Ole Miss again. Obviously, we were in the city, and it's not Oxford, but having Eli in there, and then Evan Ingram, a dog, was there. Um, you know that bond in college, if you get that same bond in NFL, it just feels so much better. And that's what teams are doing now. So if you look at the Eagles, I know sidetrack, Eagles, they got a lot of Georgia guys, right, on defense. That bond never goes away. Um, because that bond is the growth of your career, when you're 18, 19, getting in college and learning how to become a man. And then this is just outside of football, because football, the game, that comes, um, after preparing, through the summer, through training camp, those hard times, and the game just comes naturally, from preparation. But the real, like, grind is those summers, and late nights in camp. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, just being back just getting to the Giants, and getting back with Evan, getting to be with Eli's, having him call the plays in the huddle, like, it was like, wow, this is what you did at Ole Miss. Like, now you you got two Super Bowls. Like, I'm playing with the GOAT. You know what I mean? Everybody's saying Tom Brady, but I'm playing with my GOAT, like my Ole Miss GOAT. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My last catches in NFL were from Eli. And I'll never forget that. And Giants, they were first class. Everything they did was first class, from the cafeteria, the facility, the recovery for the players, the transportation, just everything they offered was first class. Like, it was unreal. Just coming from Cincinnati, obviously, the marketing is not really good. wasn't good then. I don't know about now, with Joe Burrow and them. But I could probably text Mike now, ask him. But I think they're just now getting an indoor facility. But they didn't have an indoor facility when I was
Oh,
there.
wow.
Yeah, it was very. they they didn't. I'm just say they didn't put money into that facility for players. I can say this: all the guys had their own chefs. Nobody ate in the cafeteria when I was there. And Mark said, "We gotta change this up, guys. Like, what do I need to do? Do I need to bring somebody in? Like, what? Like, it was that bad." But yeah, Giants, they were first class. But I got to the Dolphins, and I can say Dolphins, obviously, that's Miami. They have nice facilities. The facility kind of reminds me of Ole Miss's new facility, except the Dolphins, they have a swimming pool, obviously, and a couple of other things that, Ole Miss doesn't have. But um, that locker room and, the training room, and it reminds me of the Dolphins, the one that Ole Miss had. But the Dolphins as a team, they grind. And that was my first winning season ever in my career, in my NFL career. So that was very special for me as well, just being a part of that. And one win away from the playoffs, because I haven't experienced the playoffs. But so I say between Dolphins and Giants, but Giants, they kind of were. Giants was like the mold of my career as
Mhm.
far as my getting to my potential. But the Dolphins was like experiencing, wins and the culture of grind of winning. Giants, they weren't, we weren't winning at the time. And we had 2 head coach changes. But just being there with Evan and Eli, and then getting around Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley, like those guys are different, and they're cool to be around. Now the guys my brothers and with the Bengals, AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, Andy Dalton, like I still talk to them to this day. Like, them still my boys. But it was just a little bit different with the Giants. And I think that ties in with the culture and the organization.
Well, all right. This has been it's been fun, man. Cody Core, former Ole Miss wide receiver, NFL wide receiver. He is expecting a big day for Ole Miss on Saturday, predicting a big time win for the Rebels as they travel to Auburn. That is a 6:00 game on ESPN. We will have more coverage at omspirit.com leading up to Saturday's game. Be sure to stay locked in there and stay locked in here. Talk Champions Podcast Network. We'll have more podcasts as the week goes on. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel on YouTube at OM Spirit on YouTube. Give us a subscribe, smash the like button, hit the bell, all that good stuff. But Cody, this has been fun, man. We'll do it again soon.
Man, it's been an honor. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. For Cody over there, I'm Zach. This has been a Talk of Champions Extra. Till next time, we out.